All right, here we go.
Yes.
Welcome. Welcome. I probably should have had like one of those gongs or something. I know you in the land of the rising sun. So
Yeah,
shit,
there it is.
that doom.
Is
Shots
that what
out to
we're
everybody.
doing with this? Oh man. All right.
Waking you up. We're gonna wake you up today. Guys,
Yeah.
welcome back. Community Beacon. It's Friday. About four
Somewhere.
o'clock. Yeah, it's Friday. It's Friday here. Appreciate you all for checking in each and every Friday. Last week, apparently, I was a chipmunk, and I was just talking, but sometimes the brother wasn't there. The brother said, "Man, what's up with your voice?" He asked me about a couple hours later. I was like, "What are you talking about?" And of course, I got a chance to listen to it. I said, "Man, I'm just going off like a chipmunk," and it didn't tell you what. If you didn't listen to it, it impacted me. I
It's
didn't know
good
I was
though.
gonna I didn't know I was gonna speak for 37, 40 minutes. And it was that time. I said, okay, I'm gonna get on here and do 15 to 20 minutes and I'm out. And then all of a sudden I looked up, I said, wait a minute, we're going. And then the
Mm.
brother said, uh, it's what's wrong with your voice? I went back to listen to it and I said, oh, okay, I had the what do they call it, simulator on. So
Mm.
the message was too important to skip. Brother, how are you doing? I don't even think I introduced us.
That's all right, man. That is the business mogul, Michael Seville, real estate king.
All right,
Most importantly, a great friend and brother of mine. That's the most important part right there. And I'm Joel Simmons, the founder of Tenacity Foundation. We're here back again, Community Beacon. I may sound like I'm on low energy because I am, but I feel like I'm like just full right now. Gosh, just getting on the show with Mike. Just want to first off apologize to everybody. My time zone and everything. I did not set the appropriate alarm to be there with you all. So my apologies on last week. I am here today. All right. I made sure of it. I set the alarms and everything to wake me up because I've been asleep for maybe an hour and a half, something like that, 2 hours, because I had to do a little walk around. I'm in Japan, Osaka, Japan, and had to do a little walk around and try to find some food. I managed to find something. Brother has some shrimp tacos, and they don't look anything like what you think. They look more like conch fritters. They look like conch fritters. It was just some street food. Lady was selling out of a window as I was walking by, and I was like, "What is this?" She's like, "Squid." I'm like, "All right." So I told her I'd like to have some shrimp, and she went and she started making some fresh shrimp
wow,
tacos. So I just came back 15 minutes later, and I picked them up. She made them just for me.
nice.
So it was crazy, y'all. One thing I learned definitely in the Philippines, and I stick to that, is the first thing you want to know is not your language, it's your money.
Explain that. What do you tell me more about that?
Oh, well, in the Philippines, I learned how to count money very, very fast. I became very efficient to what the going rates of things are and what that looked like and how much I was spending in USD. So it was something that, I just really wanted to understand. So while I walked around, I was able to give money and receive my change and understand what was going on. So I've got a new learning curve, being here in Japan. Lady gave me back some change. I gave her I gave her 1,000 yen, and it's a bill. It's a bill, right? So when she gave back my change, it was a little tiny coin like that. And I was like, yo, what's the rest of my money? I was like, where is it? Where's the rest of my money? And finally I looked at it and it said 500 yen. I was like, okay, we good. And I
Exposure or
got
something.
yeah, yeah. I wasn't expecting it to be a coin to go from a bill to a coin, you know. But so
Shouts out to
now,
the brother. The brother, I'm gonna call him the passport brother right now on the since that's what he's doing. And I invite anybody, get out of your comfort zone, go travel the world. I can imagine, as I know we'll definitely get into when the brother's probably it's fresh in his mind, to talk about his experience, um, his takeaways, and the impactful journey that he had, and not just on the people, but himself as well. I found that when I travel, it's not just the. I think I'm impactful to the people, but I like to see when the people are impactful towards me. I love to bring stuff back. That's one thing that I've always enjoyed when I've traveled, here and abroad. Is like to bring something back. Whatever that may be, the culture, part of the culture, and just how different it probably is, more than likely is than it is where we're from. So
hmm,
shouts out to the bro. And we're gonna jump into this topic today. I
hmm.
really wanted to do a quick recap from last week because I did sound like a chipmunk, and there was a it was the principle as we were continue going through these principles. Last week was master the vessel, master the vessel. And I thought it
Mhm.
was interesting today. At some point in time this week, I had a mentor who was talking about an encounter that he had, and he said the person who he was speaking to was like really emotional as they were having. It was supposed to be a debate. They were going back and forth, but this guy kept getting emotional. He was being very triggered, and the joke. He said, "Man, you probably need to go get your testosterone checked." And when he said that, I just started laughing because because it's honestly it's the truth. Sometimes I'm having conversations with people, and I'm like, well, maybe this. I think my brother might need to get his testosterone checked. It's not to say that it's you need to be checked because we're way too emotional. A lot of this emotionalism, um, it really guides the way that you respond to things. And if you don't know that you're emotional, and that's something that I really had to work on with myself, like really had to say, okay, this reaction that I'm having or this response that I'm having, where exactly is it coming from? Right? Joel is on this trip. When he gets back, he's going to be tired. The response is, and if he doesn't know that this is happening, if he doesn't understand jet lag, if he doesn't understand that he was doing these things, the responses he may have to somebody else may be different than how he would normally respond when he's well rested, he's well fed, he's in his own element. Like all these things add on to it. But if you don't master your vessel and understand yourself, then you can easily go down a different path. And like last week, I told you, I said it's so important for me to understand me and mastering what exactly it is that I have going on. That way, I can even preempt certain things. I can tell. Here's my son. He said, "Where am I? I'm right here." Uh, I can preempt. I can let them know. Right. I
I
have a.
felt like he just walked in the door, man.
He did. He did. Can you hear him? Can you hear the his All right, I'm gonna turn it off in a second after I make this point. Um, I have a habit of letting Elijah know when he's around me. I let him know. I say, hey, listen, I may have rolled off on the wrong side of the bed today. Like I can feel it. I know, especially when I'm in the gym. I'm anchored. I get a clear understanding of myself. We spoke about anchors last week. Like, and the gym is like part of my anchor. That's why I like to do it early in the morning. I like to test to see where I'm at. And I let Elijah know, like, hey, listen, I don't know what it is. Today's one of those days. So, just be mindful. And while he's being mindful, I'm being more mindful, right? I'm the adult in the situation, anyways, and I'm the man in the situation, anyways. So it's like I'm so mindful of my reactions versus their reactions. I'm gonna turn this off, brother. I'll give you a chance to respond shortly.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Well, I'll take that opportunity to respond on this being anchored in knowing yourself. I believe it's the first principle. You know, I know it's more like I think it's principle 7 or 8 from Mike, but I believe this is it's just like one of the first things that a person should do. For me, it's part of my vision plan. I actually just taught this about 3 days ago to a group of people. Shout out to the Wins Network, Women's Initiative, and networking and support. Shout out to them through S&P Global. We just talked about this a little while ago, and I was sharing the three lens, principle that I shared. And the first lens is is who am I, and it's just all about knowing yourself, right? That's your anchor point. When we don't know ourselves, it makes life challenging. I love what Mike was just talking about, how he's able to learn or to think about who he is every single day, and how he's done enough study for himself to know if he's high, low, in the middle, left or right, whatever it is. Because what it does is it gives us the opportunity to preemptively prepare people that are around us for us, right? It also gives us the opportunity to prepare ourselves to be our best when we're at our worst. I think that's probably one of the greatest things that could ever happen. When I'm when I recognize that my body is out of whack, is tired, right? So I could either push through that or I can make an adjustment. So I found sometimes it's better to make an adjustment. Sometimes I try to push through something that I'm not supposed to push through. And because of that, it becomes so difficult that I struggle with it throughout the majority of the day and become less productive. But when I recognize, okay, this is the place that I'm at today, and I take the more appropriate route, then I become highly productive and I'm able to accomplish what I need to accomplish in that day. I had to do it a different way. That's what makes it so sweet, right? So, for instance, say I have some deadlines that I have to hit inside of my business, but I'm in one of those types of days where, let's go with jet lag. Mike mentioned jet lag. I'm in one of those types of days where my body is just not functioning for me. For instance, yesterday, gosh, y'all, I was still in jet lag for like 8 days between jet lag and the nonstop working mentality that I carried throughout the entire Philippines. Oh, it was crushing me. And I woke up on my quote unquote vacation day out of all of this trip, which was Thursday. I think today is Friday for you, it's Saturday for me. So on Thursday, I woke up and I was like, I ain't having it. Guys, when I realized that, I let my body rest. That's what I did. I just let my body rest because I figured out what it was. I was not being lazy. I was not in depression. No, I was exhausted from being up all night, all day, still, my brain's still operating on the American lands, and I'm in the Philippines. Guys, I was coming back from work at like 3 or 4 o'clock, falling asleep and getting up at 11, and then working throughout the entire night and morning. all the way into the next day, all the way through the next day until it was 3 or 4 or 5 and sometimes 8 o'clock at night just to fall asleep and wake back up at 1 o'clock in the morning. I wasn't getting it together. And on this final day, I was like, I'm zonked. And so I just let my body rest. It took me like 5, 6, 7 hours. And then that afternoon at 1 o'clock, when my body was ready to go, I got up. I went, bought a day pass at the gym, went to the gym, met with some people, took care of some business, had multiple other meetings, and I closed out my night at 11 o'clock that night. I made that day highly productive by recognizing who I am, where I am, and what I need to be doing in order to get to my goals. And when I started off, it was not what I normally want to do, which is get up, work out, get to work. It was lay down, talk to nobody, take a breather, isolate yourself. That's a huge principle. Huge principle. So I love it. I believe it. And I think when we use it appropriately, effectively, we can move mountains. Yeah. What'd you say? Am I in line with you?
Yeah. This is the perfect time to transition because you've already essentially got and I enjoy our conversations because it, we haven't had this conversation before, but then we hit the next logical step. It's just it just works out that way. Um, the the tiredness. The brother said he mentioned depression at some point. He mentioned laziness, right? Like these things is not, it's not a person at their core, but we understand because we know our core, we understand when we're off. We understand what I get into as we, this is a good point to kind of transition to the next principle. We understand who we are, so we get a clear understanding of what the noise is versus what the clarity is. And so I'll define the noise. It's not just sound, it's it's every input. We're getting into principle number 9, clarity over noise. It's every input. It's the food you eat. It's the music you listen to. It's the media you consume. It's the conversations you entertain. It's every input that's not a direct connection with whatever it is your core is. Everything. So clarity is essentially separating the signal, the core of it, from the static, all these other inputs. I often say I don't really look at things that are either good or bad. I just say that they are, right? This is what it is. They are. So as I continue going through this principle and just putting a lot of thought to it, I want to make sure that that's known. Brother, how do you see the noise showing up in people's lives today?
That's a good question. That's a good question.
I know it's hold on. First off, let me say, I know it's early over there, and we tend to get into some very deep conversations. So I just want to, this is the first time we're having this conversation. That's what Community Beacon is about. We have these conversations and then we sharpen each other. So I am going to throw it back at the brother, but I do understand the brother has been moving and grooving on a different continent for 7 to 8 days.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. Appreciate the consideration. Noise is, another way of looking at noise. I think you kind of alluded to it as well. Is distractions. So I understand what you mean by noise, because life gets noisy, right? It's whatever noise in my frame of mind is whatever distracts your clarity, whatever keeps you from being able to see clearly. And so that can come in many different ways. But at the end of the day, It's basically whatever takes your brain off of its true functionality. So, however a person sees that. And I believe that most people are focused in their distractions, in their noise,
Mm.
versus in their objectives. They don't. Most people don't have a clear vision. They don't have a clear destination. And sometimes when we do create those destinations, many times they are very short term, very, they're very specific, but they're they may not be as meaningful. And what I mean by that is, a thought process for today. My priority for today is feeding a dog, right? Or my priority is to get to work, right? And these things are, it's not that this can't be on the priority list, but this, I don't, I'm going to say it, this shouldn't be a main priority, overarching priority. Everything that we do should lead us to some greater, higher, achievable goal, even if that goal is so large, so big that it scares us. And everything else underneath it becomes part of the tactics and the strategies of reaching it, which may be today I need to feed my dog at X amount of time. Then I need to go to work at X amount of time. Then I need to come home, pick up my kids at X amount of time. Then I need to feed them at X amount of time. Then I need to go into my studies so that I can prepare myself for 5 years later, finishing college, so that I can go into this new job. So that when I get this new job, I'm able to hire somebody to help me to clean my house so that I can separate myself to go back into college, so that 5 years later from that, I can then reach up to this higher level of education, so that then I can expand my talents, so that I can create something that's going to help build something inside this world that's going to frame out or create a legacy for my children, for your children, for their children. And so for me, it's just always about how big can I get my vision, because all of these small things, simply putting on my clothing, is the most finite, the smallest thing that helps me to arrive at the greatest vision that I could possibly get to. And when you get to that point of understanding, every single thing that you do has its purpose, its place, and its time. And so, in answering that question, I believe that most people are distracted in their life. And it's everywhere. I just came from the Philippines, and I found distractions there. In one of my conferences, a lady got up. She came to me with tears in her eyes. She came to me with tears in her eyes, and she was just telling me about, when you mentioned this, with her speaking to me. She said, when you mentioned that if people don't have a certain type of mindset, or they're not walking in a certain direction, that you simply just walk away from them, and it's nothing against them, but you eliminate them from being within your circle. She said, that's when I realized that I've got a lot of people that I'm giving to. She started talking about her energy, her effort. She said, and it's taking me nowhere. And they're all just distractions. And then she just stopped talking and looked at me, and she started to pull those tears back into her eyes. And as I was looking at her, I said, she's choking out her testimony. She doesn't want to give me the full thing. She doesn't know what kind of man I am, though, because I'm receiving it. I see it. I can see it in the pain behind her eyes. I was like, what she had was a breakthrough, and she's got to keep on breaking through. Don't stop now. Don't stop now. So the majority of us as people, we are living in distractions, and we think that we're not. We think we're not. We fooled ourselves. My rule is, don't lie to God, because who will you go to when there's nobody else? And don't lie to yourself, because you may just actually believe it. And most of us are living a lie, and we believe our lie.
George, George from Seinfeld said one time, he said, he looked at Jerry and he said to him, he said, Jerry, is it really a lie if you believe it? And he walked out the door. He was, he was,
That's deep.
he was teaching Jerry how to lie. He said, is it a lie if you believe it? And he just got solidly walked out the door. Seinfeld was probably one of the greatest shows, but um, I concur, brother, with the and I don't even want to call it distractions, because for it, to me, it'll have a certain connotation to it, because we can do some things that are like, I'm sure this lady believes she's doing some laudable undertakings, right? Like you actually you're helping someone. Like you could easily be helping someone. Someone calls you on the phone and you could be going in a certain direction and they have something to tell you and you want to be there for them. And after 2-3 hours on the phone, however long you decide to spend with this person, if you don't have boundaries, if you don't put forth boundaries is a big one. If you don't put forth boundaries, if you're not aware, this is the mastering of the vessel part. If you're not aware of this energy that's going back and forth, because it might be transactional. So all these things can be happening, and it could be a decent thing. I don't want to put so when I hear distraction, but it is ultimately, if we just take away the rainbow language, it essentially is a distraction. What did you do to move the needle for, and were you working in the purpose? I say in the purpose, not your purpose, in the purpose. Okay. So all of these things happen, and people are fighting, not just people, corporations, TV, marketers. People are fighting for your attention, and they're willing to get it by any means necessary. When you go on YouTube, you'll see certain things that may be triggering, right? There's a reason why these things become triggering. And so when you have these distractions, it could block your clarity. How many times what they call doom scrolling, or how many times have you went down a rabbit hole and you started somewhere, probably doing something in your mind was productive, and you ended someplace else that you'll probably never do it again? How many people? I might have to raise two hands, because that's one of the things that I had to notice for myself, is that I opened up the computer or the phone. I use it, and it was interesting. I started using this tool that actually started to look at how long I was spending on certain apps and websites and so on and so forth. And my God, when I got back the reading at the end of the week, I said, "Whoa, whoa!" I immediately had to start establishing some boundaries and saying, "Okay, you could spend an hour here, right? I'm not telling you not to things that because you never know where it might lead you, but sometimes it's not leading me anywhere. It's not leading me in the direction I want to go." So there once you understand these things and you become aware of it, right? We all talk about awareness, acceptance, acknowledge. The brother has acknowledgement, making the adjustment, and essentially what I say overall is taking authority, and the brother say it uses the word agency over these matters. Then you can start moving that direction, but you have to start to understand yourself. Clarity through chaos.
That's it.
In our community, in my community.
Oh man, that was a hook. That was a hook right there. Yeah. All right, come on. Let's go.
I've made a lot of observations, right? I've made observations in the things that kind of are our culture, and they kind of start to block our clarity, right? I'm of the mindset of empowerment And when I take a look and juxtapose against what I would call successful cultures, these are cultures that aren't in last place for the majority of things. Um, I've noticed within the culture, and when I and I'll define the culture as, um, you know, Western style, Western, because it's different in the Western African descendants of slaves. So we got colonialism, we got slavery, we got these very impactful things, something that happened over 400 years, so on and so forth. And if you're not a part of this culture, I want you to pay attention, because this culture is the canary in the coal mine, right? Once you start this culture, at one point in time, was what they called the conscience, because it was so, coming out of that, it was such a tightly knit structure. But anytime something happened, economically or different policies that change, our culture tends to feel it on the worst, right? We're the last, where we tend to absorb a lot of the negative. It's so much more impactful to us. Okay, a lot of different things. So within our culture, we have a lot of sacred calves. Don't cancel me. We tend to pedestalize our women. We tend to pedestalize the church. We tend to pedestalize celebrities and icons. We tend to pedestalize a certain political party. And I had to add this one because I didn't know it until I was attacked. We tend to pedestalize food. Like, we like our food. It's comfort. We do it all the time, right? None of these things that I just named are evil in themselves at all, right? But when they start to become untouchable, when they become idols to us, they block our clarity. I actually put, when I really did my notes, I had the political party and the celebrities and icons as one. I also had money, because money, for some reason, we've become so transactional. It's just, I can't even explain it. Like, I sit back and I'm like, are we that much of a hyper consumer? Like, are we? And then I said, yes, we are. But I started looking at the numbers. I said, yes, we are. Everything is a transaction for us. Nothing is done in for community or for others. Everything is like, if I do this, how can I get this? There's one thing about self-interest, because that's definitely at the top of most people's. Like, it always comes down to self-interest. But once it becomes untouchable, money has become untouchable to the point where people are telling you, if you're not worth X amount of money, then essentially you have no value to them, right? I'm here to tell you, you have value, period. Get you something. Get you brothers, and I'm talking about and when I say brothers, I'm just talking about anyone who's listening. Get you some confidence. Let's start to work on that. Do not attach your confidence to the self-worth, or excuse me, do not attach your confidence to money and transactions and things, right? Because those things can be taken away from you, and you still have to have it in you, right? When these things get taken away, let me go real quick. I had a conversation with my cousin the other day, and we were talking about, like, what exactly is power. And he said, money is power. I said, you think so? He said, yeah. I said, let me ask you this question. I said, if I told you I'm going to give you $10 billion tomorrow, and I tell you, you just tell me, how do you want it? Do you want it in a warehouse? Do you want it in crypto? Do you want it at a bank? Like, how do you want this $10 billion? I'm going to make sure it gets to you tomorrow. He said, okay, yeah, whatever. I want to see it. I give you the $10 billion. I say, do you know all one person has to do is say, take it from him? Our president could say, you know what, the IRS could say, or someone in the IRS could say, you take that from him. And you can't have access to it. They can file a lawsuit federally and say that this wasn't given to you. Gaddafi at one point wanted to give the minister $1 billion, and the United States said you can't get it. You can't get this money. This is back in the 90s. This is when $1 billion was worth, $1 billion is still $1 billion, but we're talking about the 90s when $1 billion was even more worth more than it is now because of inflation. But so money is just not, it's not, there's no power in it because it can be taken away from you. So you got to think about that. A lot of things that this is why this clarity comes in, and I define clarity as direct connection with like the Most High. This is like the Most High giving me whatever it is, and there's all these things because the brother says that distractions. There's all these things attempted to distract you, right, from this connection that you can have. I'm going, bro, because I went past it. Tell me what you think about the sacred calves, and what do you think is the biggest noise for people right now? Because it may not be one of those.
I mean, I feel like you're hitting the nail on the head, but I think it's the same stuff that has always been. There's not much different, you know. It's just people. The sacred calf is my shelter, my food, my clothing, my feeling of belonging. You know, then it's going to be exerting myself over someone else. You know, that power, that need to be the one that is seen in the room, that need to be the one that is respected. With much of this stuff is the same stuff that people were dealing with long time ago. To be able to walk into a room and not care what other people think, I think that should be respected. That should be applauded. But then there's the transaction between that. I feel that there's a lot that has happened with the turn of technology because it's just brought everyone closer and it's revealed a lot of things. And so what used to be a copycat syndrome could only go as far as the room that you're sitting in. Now it can go as far as the country that you can view. And so the copycat syndrome has really opened up the door for a larger scale of distraction, and people can be living in lies from a far distance. And then other people can copy them, thinking that they are copying something that is laudable. Not that copying is laudable, but thinking that they are advancing themselves or improving themselves. And they are improving themselves on a copy, on something that's not even true. You know, when I started to recognize or realize that some of these people were so genius, they'll put something up on the screen like, my third travel in the month, where to now? And then you see the behind the scenes. It was a toilet bowl that they use to be a sign of the round window. It was a toilet bowl seat, and he used it as a round window to make it look like they were on an airplane seat. And then they brought the camera in so close with the light shining on the other side of it, and you think this person is flying all over the world, and they haven't even left their closet. It's like, this is what we're following. And some of these people have made tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and some of them even become millionaires off of placating reality. And so I think this is the golden calf right now, just exploded. Everybody's got their own golden calf, you know, and it's all the same stuff. Everybody's fighting and clawing over the same basic needs. Maslow's hierarchy of needs has never changed. And that's still the thing that people are clawing off of, them first few levels.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, the propaganda at one point in time was just pushed, was pushed out to us from the, what we call the powers that be, right? Like them. We
Mhm.
often refer to them as them and they, them and they.
Them they.
They over there, they did it, or him, or probably in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, it was the man, right? The man got, has a, and it's interesting as I'm listening to you because I, social media has us here, right? Like you and I are having this conversation on different continents because of the technology. So
Mhm.
anything, um, but some of us have become the man and the them and they, and have
Mhm.
propagated a lot of things because of our sense of possibly self-importance or wanting more like wanting to be important, right? This grandiose syndrome, right? So, and to your point, and that's why the principles are, or having principles that are sound, are so important. That this is nothing, this isn't anything new. There's nothing new under the sun as far as
That's
us as
it.
humans and what we're willing to um do in order to be a certain kind of way. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing, there's nothing new to it. But we do get a chance to empower and transcend past it.
Mhm.
Like we do get to use these platforms, we do get to be the light in the world, right? Like we do get we do get a chance to do that, and we get to choose it, right? This is the, essentially you get to choose. You got you get it as a choice. But the more you, and this goes back to last week, mastering the vessel, the more you understand you, and exactly what your intent is, and how to get to the place that you want to get to, um and cutting through the noise and not having a lot of things being pushed upon you. Because who said that traveling, it's funny because Beethoven just texted me something about traveling. I love traveling and I love going for the exposure. Like there's that's great. But when you do it to the point of I'm showing off, right?
Mhm.
Neely Fuller spoke about this. The great master teacher Neely Fuller said one of the biggest problems in our community is wanting to show off, show who I am, show more about this information that I got from somebody else, that I know more than such and so on and so forth.
Mhm.
He's like, show. He say, the reason why I bought this is to show off. And he spoke. I mean, he spoke at length about this. One day I'll put that video up because I thought it was interesting. God bless his soul. He passed it earlier on this year, but just the showing off portion of it, and not even, and now you're copying. I love that, and I forget who I was talking to about copying the copier. So you're not
Mhm.
even, you're a replica of the real, and you don't even understand what they were doing it for at first. There's some people out here that are tormented. That's the only word I can use for it. I think, like, I remember Elon Musk spoke about how he thinks, and just how it just, like, he just can't turn it off. Like, like he just, his mind is just constantly just bouncing back and forth. He
Mhm.
can't turn it off. This is the richest man in the world, and I'm looking at him like, I don't necessarily want that. But if I don't
Mhm.
look at that part, if I'm just looking at he's the richest man in the world, I want to be just like him, and I want to be a replica of him, then I'm going to get certain results that I probably didn't really want from the beginning, right? Like I'm going to get certain side effects. I might forget my family. I might forget my,
Mhm.
things that in my mind are important to me, right? Because everybody has something that's important to them, right? Or things that I believe are a priority to me, as opposed to that.
Mhm.
I think, and I want to go into this part. I don't know. I see the brother. You still with his brother? Uh-oh. He's here. He's back. I want to talk about. Can you hear? Are you with us, or is there a delay? I see you.
You got me?
Yeah, I see you. There might be a little delay in our conversation.
Okay. Can you still hear me?
I can.
Okay.
Okay,
That's all
we're
right.
good
We're all
now.
good now.
So, how do we cut through the noise, brother? What kind of practice of clarity do you have?
So for me, clarity comes with knowing that, listen, y'all, my formula is very simple. Very simple. It's very, very simple. VCF. That's my formula. I use it for anything and everything. And I believe you can achieve anything you want with this formula. And it's just vision, clarity, focus. And that's how I cut through noise. I keep my vision. I mean, this aligns with what you're saying, Mike. As far as I'm concerned, we're just having a deeper conversation, which is what we do here in the community beacon. We take one thought and then we open it up so that people can understand. But that's it. Like, what is your goal in life? If you have to bring it down to something smaller, shoot, it doesn't bother me. What's your goal of the day? And just being clear on that, and then put the effort in to achieving it. But the having these principles lined up means so much because it becomes a part of the journey to complete your goal. You have to have your alignment. My alignment: God, values, morals, right? My family, etc. And so you have to have your alignment. You need to know where you're going. You need to know what you want out of your life. You need to know who you are. And so the techniques that I use to cut down on that, um, I suppose they've become a little more simple for me because I've been using them now for so long. Um, so one of them is appropriately using the quiet. Either you put yourself into a quiet space or God will. So I prefer to put myself in a quiet space.
Talk about. I'm laughing because um, when you say God will, explain that because I understand, but explain that for everybody.
Well, so our life is not meant. You're not meant to operate in noise at all times. It's unhealthy. It's not good for you. You should have some type of listen. We're created in God's image, and God is a creator. He's a provider, right? So he's so much, and we're created in this image, and we just show up as nothing but a follower. And there's nothing wrong with following something or somebody. The majority of us are doing it. Everybody is following something. As at the end of the day, everybody is, right? But we can create the environments that we follow in. When we don't take the time to put ourselves into a quiet space or a place for our minds to expand, for our thought processes to take on to creativity, when we don't give ourselves the opportunity for growth, then God will put us in those places. Things will start to happen inside of your life, and you're wondering why everything is happening. Your body will slow down, your brain will slow down, everything. You'll become overwhelmed. And what happens when you get overwhelmed? You shut down. People, you shut down. What happens when you get burnt out? You shut down. And it's like, I've learned that this is my opportunity to realign myself. That's what I've learned. God is trying to tell somebody something and you're not paying attention. So you burn out Goes for such a long time. You're stressed out. Goes for such a long time till you end up going and speaking with somebody in some cases, and you get prescribed a medication. And then you stay in that zone. But now you're not ever alone. But it's not because you're with God, it's because you're with your medication, or you're with your depression, or you're with your anxiety, or you're with your frustration, or you're just with your lost feeling. And for me, it's like, let's not do that. Let's just take the time to shut ourselves, to power ourselves down. And look, check it out. If I pull up my phone and my phone starts acting all funny, glitches, and the memory is not working right, I start typing in letters and they show up 3 to 4 or 5 seconds later. Like, that's communication. It's not remembering things. I got billions of apps opened up, and it's just like, it's the functionality is all over the place. It's wayward. My phone is not as productive as it used to be. And I go online, I'm like, all right, what do I do about a phone that is not as productive as it used to be? Or type in whatever your prompt is. And then the computer comes back and it tells you, well, have you tried to shut your phone down? Because that's the first thing that you need to do. And it's like, if we are all over the place, stuck in the world of noise, have you shut down? Go take a nap. Go drink some water. Go eat the appropriate food. Go de-stress. Go meditate. Go pray. Right? Go do those things until that energy that's inside of you is de-escalated. And when you come back, you're going to feel so much different. So much different. And if you don't know how to do these things, because somebody out there is going to try what I'm saying, and it may be 5 years from now when this video right here blows up, when 1 million people are looking at this, and they all of a sudden they do it, and they're like, but Joel, it doesn't work. And I'm going to come back to the same video and be like, well, listen, some people don't know how to do it. See, this is where we started off with. We are not, we don't say this stuff because we want you to copy us. We're just telling you bits and pieces of the things that we are utilizing to be able to navigate this space in life. You may have to come and ask me for a very specific question to answer your life, or maybe ask Mike, because it has to fit you.
We said that multiple times. You know, I sat back earlier this week and I said, I was having a conversation with someone, and it was like, you know, when that thing just hits you, and I was just like, wait a minute, Mike. You have too much information for this hour talk. You know, for this person, for you to expect to give these people all this information. Last week, I sat on this channel, and for 37 minutes, I just spoke, and didn't even read on principle number 8, and didn't even crack the surface of it. And this is just me talking. Now, imagine if someone is asking you questions, or you're getting to the, and I have one more point in regards to this principle number 9. Like this, giving this back and forth. So even when I'm doing a consultation, I say, listen, everything I need to say, I can probably say it in 10 to 15 minutes for a quick overview. I said, but this meeting is probably going to take about an hour, because in those 15 minutes, you're going to have multiple questions. And over the next week to 2 to 3 weeks, it's going to be multiple times, right? Like when I'm working with a client, I'm like, it's almost like we're married or something. You know, that's what I call it. Like we're in a deep relationship. If you work with me, like we're in a deep relationship, because there's so much that needs to be covered. And in order for you to be fully prepared, and just for a breadth of this knowledge, right? Because we're doing most of the work on my side anyways, but just so that you understand what to expect, there's going to be a lot of communication between both of us because you're going to have questions. I expect you to have questions if you're paying attention to any of this stuff. What I realized, the people who don't have questions, they end up being dejected later. I want to get into that. Meditation. 15 years ago, for me, we spoke about Elon Musk and how his brain was doing all this. That's and my brain still does this. We're just like I just thought my brain just and well, if you know once I have the conversation, I just like bah, 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 and that's how my brain works. Transcendental meditation over 15 years ago changed my life. It slowed a lot of things down, and people even know. People say that are with me. They'll say, "Did you meditate? What was the last time you meditated?" And I'm like, I let 3 days go by.
They see the cues, huh?
They know.
Mike with meditation, Mike without meditation.
There's a difference. I would tell you right now, there's a difference. And Joy DuPont, rest in peace. I remember she really taught me even another form of meditation. So I did transcendental meditation, where you get your mantras. It's 20 to 25 minutes a day. Joy took me to the next level where she was like, it's walking meditation. So now as I'm moving throughout the day, and if anybody ever watches me, like they're like, this dude is just moving slow, but it's just like it's just this constant looking for the gaps to get the download from the clarity, the direct download from the Most High. So, pay attention. And I remember the Dalai Lama said, if you don't have, because I can't just sit still for 20 minutes and so on and so forth. The way my brain works, I'm like, okay, you don't know who I am, but that's fine. But the Dalai Lama said, if you don't have 20 minutes a day to meditate, then you need to meditate for an hour. So what does that mean? If you don't have the 20, you take an hour, right? Other practices, and you could look
priorities.
Boom. Other practices, guys, and before we go to the next part of gaining clarity, fasting, right? Jesus did it. Yeshua did it. The Muslims during Ramadan, they have that set standard where there's that month of fasting. If I had to name something, I mean, this is all good, but I used to say fasting is like the magic pill, right? And if you can just fast and meditate on the Most High, and whenever you get the trigger, because the food is, remember we spoke about the food and all these different things, these habits, etc., so on and so forth, the people, like, just take that time and fast and see how it does. And this also is scientific with your biology. Like you'll notice a clearness in your mind, and I'm not saying, check with your doctors, because next thing I know, y'all call back, like, my blood pressure. Check with your doctor first. But fasting improves your clarity. Solitude. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in the cave. Jesus went off to himself. That's solitude. I even said, anytime someone tells me now that I got this going on, I say, man, go. My dad got a place in Jamaica. Go. I don't know if I could go. I say, yeah, well then that's pretty much the end of my conversation. I have the money. I say, you find you a plane ticket, $200 to $300. Give my pops a couple of dollars, and you're going to be there in solitude, because he's not going to bother you, or even the conversation that you have is going to be a different kind of conversation. But go take some time off. I get it in the house. This is what does Superman have? The fortress of solitude. When you come in my house, it's the fortress of solitude. I can just sit down and look in my backyard and just stare. And I know Elijah just walked past me sometimes and be like, oh, there he go again. Like I'm finding it. I'm gonna call him back. There's no emergencies in real estate. There's no let me give you a call right back. I find the solitude. The brother said rest is huge too. Go take a nap. Don't let these people guilt you into burning yourself out. because you're the one that's going to catch it on the back end. If you have to take a nap, go take a nap. There's nothing shameful about taking naps, in my mind, anyways, right? That's my belief. The anchor, find yourself an anchor. What does that look like? You could find your anchors in the things that we just spoke about, in prayer and meditation and solitude. Imagine if prayer is what you decide is going to anchor you for the day. That's what you decide. And you do this over a certain amount of time. You know, some days when you're like, oh, I mean, it's not the same. Like, oh man, these things are just eating at me. And this is the distractions that's going on. This is the chaos that's happening. That's attempting to distract you from this clarity. And if you don't notice this during the anchor, and you just go and think you're going to perform your day the same way that it's been, however it is, you're in for a rude awakening. And what happens is that instead of it being like, they used to have mental health days in corporate. They still do have it. We just like, I just ain't coming in, which I think I used to say police officers and teachers should like have that, because those are the type of jobs that you don't want to go to and you're not anchored in a certain mood. Because in fire, I would imagine EMTs and firemen too. If you go in and you way off, like lives are at stake at this point, right? So for you to be able to say, oh, I went into prayer, that thing was way off. I don't even know. I don't even know.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I got to think about. I was being the Lord was here, and it was just a simple thing. And then I saw David and Bathsheba, and my mind just took off to this other place. And I come out this thing mad. You ain't supposed to come out this thing mad. I do at the gym. I'm not supposed to come out of the gym mad like that. Like all this energy and stuff I'm expending. If I come out mad, that might need to be one of my mental health days. Like, okay, where's Michael? He's by the pool, cussing himself out, right?
Yeah.
But to take this into your job, to take this into your relationships, to take this into your anything else that's going on throughout the day might have an adverse effect, and you're sitting around like, I don't even know how I got here, right? So this is the anchoring, and is a way for you to kind of reset and refocus, and really just to see where I'm at. These other things are to reset and refocus. That meditation, that fasting, that solitude, prayer, whatever it is that you do, understand it and gain and come out of it clear. Come out of it. Don't come out of it ready to just come out of it clear.
Yeah, that's good.
Gaining clarity. And this is my last point on it, was how do I gain clarity? Like, we gave you some practices. Now these are some things you can do as well, which I'm working on. And the brother has always been really good at this, right? Is the questions and the prompting. Clarification questions. Take it to don't just assume you know where this person is coming from. Don't just assume even yourself. Don't just assume you know it. The best questions take you, the more clarity you can get on whatever it is. The brother mentioned your vision. Start to ask yourself these different things. And so I've heard there's a guy on, he's a guru from India. He said it took one day, he just went out on his lunch break for 30 to 45 minutes, and then he reached this enlightenment period. Like he said, before that, I was doing everything negative. I was, and he just went out. You see, like the Buddha, he went under a tree and it was under there for X amount of time. We're not saying that this is going to be you. It may take you a year. It may take you 2. It may take you 5 years. Right? Once a lot of these certain things subside, I don't know how long it's going to take you. It could take you 2 to 3 months. It could take you, don't focus on the time. Have the focus and the effort in developing questions that take you to the next level, because you don't know what you don't know. When you start to question and prompt yourself. Brother, when you're working with people, how do you help to open up their new paths of awareness? I'm curious.
You mentioned it. You mentioned what I do already, And it's really questioning. Because a lot of times people see, here's the thing: people don't know, like you said, what they don't know, but they generally do know what it is that's blocking them. They just haven't acknowledged it. That's why that whole phase of being aware, acknowledgement, acceptance, that is real. It's so real. When you start talking with people and you just ask the questions, and once they give you an answer, for me, I start to think, okay, is this the end of the line or is this the middle? And when I believe it's the middle, I ask another question. And I always know if I can ask another question because the question does not have an end answer, right? So to put it in terms of a water system, if I go, if I'm in the center of the city near the water treatment facility, and I go and I look at those pipes, they're huge. So then I talk to water management. I'm like, okay, where does this go? And they say, well, it goes over there across the street. So we go across the street, down the street, whatever. And we look at those pipes and they're big. I'm like, wow. I'm like, okay, where does this go? They're like, it goes into that neighborhood. So then we go into the neighborhood and I'm like, let's look at the pipes. They're like, they're large. I'm like, okay, all right, that looks good. Like, so where does this go? And then they take me down to a house and we look at the pipes and they're like, what does that look like? They're small. Like, okay, all right, I got you. Perfect. So where does that go? Then they take me into the kitchen to the faucet and that pipe comes up. There's a leak there. All right, we found it. This is the end line of this concern. And so it's like most people, when they ask the questions, they stop somewhere in the neighborhood, but they don't go to the end of the line. The leak is in your own house.
Mm.
That's where the concern is. It's in your own house. It's in your house. It's in your kitchen. It's in your bathroom. It's in your mind. It's basically what I'm saying. The leak is there. That's where the holdup is at. And so you just ask more questions, and you have to get better and better at asking questions. And the only way you get better at asking questions is by asking more questions. So one of the things that we can do when we're not good at asking questions is start journaling our questions. Because the thing is we become cloudy and think we've reached the end of our line because we're not used to asking ourselves questions and we're not fresh in our mind. When we asked that last question, it was so overwhelming. For instance, I'm asking this guy, where's the next line? And he opens it up and the line's this big. And you're like, oh, wow. Oh my gosh, there's so much water flowing through this pipe. I never would have imagined. I can't understand it. This doesn't make sense. How did they get all that water into the small pipe inside of my house? You're blown away. And because you're blown away, you stop the process. You can't think about what's going downstream. You have no idea. So you write that information down. You put it in a book. Right? Because you'll be thinking about that, digesting that, trying to figure that out, trying to understand it all day, all night. But then tomorrow, when you come up with a fresh mind and you start writing, jotting down inside your journal, you may go back up and look at that entry. You're like, oh, I didn't even look across the street. I wonder what happens there. And that's how we begin to develop this mindset of how to break down larger problems into smaller pieces until we get to something that is so small that is digestible, or that it's workable, or that it's usable, or that it's fixable, or that it's pivotable. That's when it happens. Getting down to that smaller, very finite thing. And you can work your way right back up the line from that point, right? Because there may be larger leaks somewhere else up the line. But it's hard for us to even be able to see it because we don't know what we're dealing with. We have no clue what a leak right there would even look like.
Mm.
So what would we do if we actually found it? It may look like it's supposed to be there because
Mhm.
we never dealt with it before. That's noise. So that's something to do. And I tell you what, Mike, I've done it on myself. Use it to help myself to get clarity. I'll take out. I think I showed it to you one time before when I was using this as myself as my own case study, and I found myself needing direction in a specific thing, and I took a big board out, dry erase, and I have other forms of helping me to unlock my genius, and one of them is music for me. Silence also works for me. So I got a few different ways, but I put it up against the wall. I turn the music up at the appropriate octave so that the music did not overtake my brain, but it kind of like sat latent in the background, so that it caused my neurons to fire, yet not focus on that. So I used it as a tool to help me kind of get into this space, into my zone. And then I just asked the first question, which was very, very, very broad. I don't remember what it was. You can probably look on my videos and see it. I think I posted it once, but it was just a very broad question, like what is whatever, whatever. And I just wrote it down at the top. And then I just started to drill myself, asking myself the question, question, and I just gave myself an answer. Every question, I gave an answer. And I said, well, hold on. But why this? And I wrote a new question, but why that? And a new one, until I got down to something so finite that I turned around, opened up my journal, and I started writing down a plan of action, because I had gotten to the end of the line. And when I got to the end of the line, it was simple to deal with. And so I just started to create a plan on how to fix all of that. That's one of the ways that I use to help people get clear. And it normally doesn't take but really a few minutes. They think I'm crazy in the beginning.
Right.
And then they also recognize when they start answering some questions, Mike, and those things are like, I have to tell them, I'm like, I realize that this thing just got deep, and that's probably not what you expected. But I want you to understand that we're going somewhere and things are happening. So just stick with me for a few more moments. And they're like, okay. And when we get to that spot, they get their breakthrough, and it's nothing but thank you at that point in time.
And then it becomes a process, right? Like this rather not a process, a
Yeah.
practice. Then
Yeah,
it
a
becomes
practice, a
practice.
practice for me, and I've showed them how to do it.
Yeah.
And then I also show them what to do with what that is, because you can get lost right there. Now that you found it, what do you do with it? And so, like, I show them, okay, now from here, we'll start to develop a plan, depending on what their goals are, where they're headed, and you may actually find at the end of the line, you may actually find that your plans were not even really what you thought they were,
Right.
which is always a beautiful thing, because you get clarity and you start to see what the inner man is really looking to do with life. And so we'll bring that up and we'll start to create a plan. A lot of times what I'll do, Mike, is before we create, uh, before we write it in stone, I'll have it there and then we'll have to sit on it. Because sometimes you'll come back and there may be one or two more things that we'll have to work through in order to get them exactly where they need to go. So it's a process, but you can get good on it. I can teach anybody how to do it. I mean, I literally just taught a lot of it right now, even though it's quite simple as a matter of fact.
I mean, and I advise people, because you mentioned something earlier in the program that over time, your practices and your processes have essentially just become second nature to you. That's what I kind of heard. There's certain,
Yeah.
this is also to what, Joy DuPont, rest her soul, would say is that, okay, this is great, Mike, that transcendental meditation is very powerful for you. I've been doing it for 5 to 7 years of this practice. And she just opened it up for me to where it was like, you want this to be a walking meditation. Like it's not just about this thing happening. Like this is always going on because, so she's like, if you can imagine the, what, what you're getting out of this 20 to 40 minutes a day, can you imagine if your life was this way when you are in the being of this thing, where your practice and your process becomes the being of it, right? That you become to master these different things. So the first, second, third time, and I'm gonna tell you, I'm listening to you, and part of what you're doing is changing a person's, I don't want to call it a worldview because that's a little bit different, but just a person, the way that they perceive themselves and what they're capable of, that could be a lot to uncover.
It's heavy.
Right. So to have someone to be able to, because I've seen people get there and they're so overwhelmed about these things, nothing happens. Right. Like I'll come back to it, and maybe they do, maybe they don't, but if you have someone there to kind of say this is normal, this is okay for you to have this, this feeling, essentially that's what it is. And then, hey, next week or whatever, whatever the time is, to be able to walk you through those different processes, um it's an awesome thing to have.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
If I can answer that, because when that happens, Mike, listen, I'm not waiting for next week. Yeah, we set the appointment up for next week, but I'm checking in. I'm checking in. Like for my clients, they understand I'm just as much inside of what they're going through as they are. That's the benefit of working with me, is you're not just getting somebody who's looking for a dollar. Yeah, I want to be paid because I put in a lot of work, and I'm going to put in more work, and I'm going to be there with you. But when I say I'm going to be there with you, that's exactly what I mean. Like I can feel those things. And you're right. It has a lot to deal with my struggles, my experiences, my knowledge, my curation over time. Right. So it's like like I said, I can teach somebody how to do this. I'm not into teaching people how to do this, but I am into guiding them and then holding their hand along the way, because you could run into trouble, because it's a different you. When you figure out who you are, that's a different person than what you see in the mirror a lot of times for most people. So, and that can be very, very scary. So you may not want to be there alone. And then something else you just said about when you get there, how it can be very overwhelming. I love my brother, Adrian Ellis. Shout out to brother Adrian Ellis, because he said this in the most simplest way. He said, a lot of people want to get in the room. He said, but you got to know what to do when you get in it. I was like, gosh, that is so good. It's just so simple. People are, they talk about getting in that room, being able to walk into those certain rooms and do certain things, meet certain people and all that stuff. And it's all right if you get into that room, but you need to know what to do when you get in that room. And I think it's emblematical of what we're talking about right now. Some people are saying that they want to understand themselves, but you got to know what to do when you meet yourself.
That's big. That's big. My viewpoint on that is, as long as you are in your being, it doesn't really matter. So, because if you and I say that because I was thinking about just in this conversation, the importance of the solitude, because not only does the solitude help to give you that direct connection, but it also gives you practice on being by yourself. a lot of people can't deal with themselves. Like you can't deal with the fake you. The real you is even more powerful than the than the fake you, right? Like the real you is even more. Like the
Hey,
real you.
hey, Mike, I just saw somebody in the mirror. I can't stand you. And then I can't stand you neither.
That's it. I remember I told someone said to me, like, they were talking about, relationships and being around. I said, listen, we, we romanticize marriage, right? Or being with someone,
Ooh, oh,
like
man, he about to
we're,
go
we're
there.
romanticize. Um, this is what I tell. So I tell people, I say, so there's gonna come a point in this interaction. If we're married and we're living together and we're doing these
Uh,
different, we're two separate people, I'm gonna get sick of you. I tell these people,
Oh, there it is.
I tell people I'm involved with all the time, like, hey, I want to be around. I'm gonna get sick of you. I say, but don't feel bad. They say, why? I say, because I get sick of myself. You understand what I mean?
Mm.
There's times when I'm looking at myself and I'm just like, God, chill out. You know what I mean? Like, brother, chill out. And I'm just walking around my house. I'm like, man, I'll say to myself, like, what's wrong with you? You know what I mean? So because that's going to happen. So imagine someone who's totally different. So I say, because, and I said the fake you, and I don't want to disrespect the fake you, because what this person, what you were, got you to this point. So you have to
Ooh,
appreciate that. I always
good.
appreciate. No one could tell me I don't have too many regrets about life because it got me here. And you can spend a whole lot of time resenting and disliking the past you or things that you did. And because at the time, most of us were in survival mode. So now we're
Ooh,
here. Now this is Mike 2.0, Joel 2.0, whatever version of yourself it is. This is the newest but I can take the lessons. Like, what lessons am I supposed to learn from this person? And how can we, and this is my new word, is how can we reconcile these things within ourselves? So it's about this reconciliation. But, I digress. That solitude gets you in practice of who it's a lonely road. And now imagine if you are in relation with people, which most of us are. We have people who we love, know, and care for, and they've seen all us, that part of us. And now here's Mike 2.0, Joel 2.0, whatever iteration of yourself it is. Now they're seeing this new thing, like, man, this man act is totally different. I almost said, imagine when you have that, and it probably happens several times over your lifetime. I'm just saying. I said you have a direct experience with the Most High,
mm.
right? Like you whatever happened, you walked down the street and then you just had this direct experience, because who knows how it happens, right? You just looked up in the sky or you looked around and it was just like boom. That's gonna change you, right?
Mm.
These things change you. The brothers having this conversation with you, it's changing you. Now you have to, you're presenting yourself to these people who you know and love, but they're understanding this other behavior. However, the noise is this part, because now you've gained this clarity. Right now things, and I see it now, like I'm walking around like, is this Beethoven called me all the time, like, is this real? Like this can't be reality. Like this has to be an illusion. Like people don't notice these things. Like you don't notice this stuff. So now it's like, and then and you may say something. Now, that's why I brought up the sacred calves before, because there's a certain way that we operate. There's a certain decorum, right? There's a certain way that people operate within communities and within culture, so on and so forth. And when you point certain things out, like I hear you, but this kind of
Mm.
don't make sense to me anymore, because I've gained this awareness and this clarity, right? The solitude, the practicing of that, now you can reconcile, and now you can go out and be obedient and submissive with, and this is what I had an issue with submission. I realized that at one point. I had no problem with doing what the Most High said to do, but my disposition while doing it wasn't always the best. I wasn't joyous in it. I'm like, yeah, I got you sure? You sure you want me to do this? All right, I'll do it. That was me responding to the Most High. I'll do it. Nobody else want to do it. I'll do it. Right. But the submission wasn't there. So now now that solitude and gaining this clarity. Now I could do it with a certain type of joy because it doesn't matter what's going on, right? I respect the brother. I understand that part. Like when you get in the room, you can kind of stop your blessings if you don't understand the decorum of the room. But there's a time when you step into the room and it doesn't matter because what you are bringing into the room is so powerful. Nobody can deny. It happens to me all the time. And I'm not, and the brother can tell you because he's around me and anybody who knows me, I'm not going around just looking for friends. Like I'm just like in this own space. However, there's an like people are like, oh, and then don't let me open my mouth because now we talking about something, and I may not even know what you know, but then it goes back up to the point. I'm gonna ask the questions, right? I'm gonna listen. I don't think we spoke about that because you gain clarity just from listening, but that's kind of meditation. I guess we could kind of put those two together. But now we can just go. We're gonna listen, and then we're gonna go to these questions. And it's coming really from a place of purity, right? If you come from a place and you're asking these questions, not to condemn somebody, not to shame somebody. I'm not here to insult you. I kind of don't even understand these things. If I do it, blame it on just me not being able to communicate it correctly. That's why I spend so much time and I spend so much money working on communication, right? Because I can come off kind of blunt like that. Like, why would you do that? Not out of trying to say that what you're doing is wrong. I'm just trying to gain a clear understanding, but the way that I presented it, right? So it's like once you get to that point, right? Like once you start to build from that point, a lot of these things just start to fall into place. You with me, brother? I know I kind of went off on a tangent.
No, you're good. You're good. Go ahead, continue.
What's the saying? I don't know if it's in the Bible or not, but I know a lot of people say it. Your gifts will make room for you.
Yeah.
Right. So that's not to stop you from not continuing to polish yourself for like what the brother said, the brother Andrew Ellis said, that you want to be able to know what you need to do when you get into rooms. Because I'm not telling you just to stop, like this is just gonna happen, right? I just told you I spend money on communication. I spend not just money because I don't want to make it that, but effort. I was in Toastmasters for years attempting to figure that, to work on speech and so on and so forth. Right. Like and I noticed that people who did do it as well, they started to see the fruits of it. So I think it's important for us to understand that we do have these gifts, but it doesn't stop you from attempting to do better or gain more exposure, gain more information in order to, then it's child's play. But all these practices along the way, I digress, gaining this clarity over the chaos. All right, brother. I know we went on for longer than we normally do. What's the thoughts? Yeah. Coming from the land of the rising sun.
Man, I love it. I love it, man. I love it. And as long as I think the conversation about this is just we're always moving to a higher level. There's always a level higher than us that we haven't reached. And that's part of my pursuit, in preparation to meet the Most High God on my final run. Prepare for my final run. But I love this topic, clarity over noise. I love that this is, principle 9. I'm excited about principle 10 because clarity over noise is super, super important. I know we didn't, I know thanks be to God for Mike and the way his brain thinks, the way he thinks about things. He's very good at crafting our conversation to include things that could possibly get missed because we go off onto these little tangents and alleyways as we're exploring certain aspects of the conversation. But he made sure that we discussed what noise was, because clarity, the noise is just as important as the clarity, right? It's just as important. Going back to something that you've quoted many times, or that I've quoted of you, or that you've stated many times, is that it's not really, the concern is not really whether it's right or wrong. Those things just are. Things are, and we classify them as right or wrong based off of, multiple things. I think, Mike, you've said many times, your biases, your environment, the knowledge that you have, the experiences you have. And I think you quoted a few more things. You stated a few more things. But there's all these different reasons on why we say this is right or this is wrong. It basically comes down to our principles, our morals, our values, right? What we align with. And at the end of the day, some of these things, don't really, they don't even matter. They don't even matter, right? They're not positive or negative. It's just a different way of looking at things. That's all. A lot of things. There are some things that I personally would deem to say, hey, listen, that is wrong.
Yeah, there's some things when you definitely someone to catch hell if they, I get it. Yeah.
There's plenty of that.
Yeah.
But a lot of stuff that we are dealing with in life, they're not those things. They just, and I say this coming from a place of talking with so many people and hearing their concerns, and they're trying to figure out, should I go left or should I go right? And if I hadn't got stuck right there before and had someone come and tell me, listen, did you pray about it? Yes, I prayed about it. Did you get an answer? Well, it kind of felt like I could go either which way. And the clarity in that is when I talked with my pastor, he said, well, maybe that's just what God has let you know. It doesn't matter if you go left or right. It's really up to you. The results will be the same. And it's like, oh gosh, why am I missing that right there? Many times we try to put every single decision on God, like he has to guide every single decision. Like you praying over if you should get a pizza from Domino's, or if you should go over to Pizza Hut. And it's like, it don't matter. It don't matter. It doesn't matter.
I love that example because at that point you're minimizing the most, like you're minimizing him. So I'm sorry. And when you minimize him, think about what your expectations are of him at that point, right? Like if you just start to, if you make the Most High the smallest thing, you know what I mean? Like you minimize them subconsciously, your expectations are just that, right? Like this is where your expectations of, and we're talking about something that's unlimited. All right, we're about to go down a whole different pathway. Go ahead, brother. Let me let you finish.
No, I thought about the same thing. I said, shoot, I done did it again.
It's needed.
Oh man, but that's it, y'all. That's it. I'm going to pull back too, just like my brother just gave me an excellent example. Once again, ensuring that we do the right thing with the information that we give, because some of the things that we say, they take a lot more than just hearing and applying. Not that you can't do it that way, because you can get to a space and a place where you can hear something and apply it like that,
Mm.
have changes, but you have to build into that mind, into that heart, into that understanding. So nonetheless, clarity over noise.
Amen.
I love it. Y'all stay clear. I'm not going to say anything else, because if I do, I'm going to say a lot more things.
I would, my last thing, guys, is for you all to go out and just start to think about the noise in your life. The brother said he spoke to a lady, and in her mind, and I'm just going to use her as an example. This, I'm sure the conversation was a lot deeper, but just on a, uh, the upper level of it, right? She said people are reaching out for her, and she's noticing that the energy, like the energy that's coming, that it's taking to deal with certain things. And this goes back to one of the first principles, alignment over attachment, right? We got to get in line, but these things are pulling from her, whatever it is, people, places, things, whatever they are, they're pulling her attention from whatever it is, that if she's got that direct connect, that clarity of what it is that, what that movement looks like for her. And think about these things, whether it's the littlest or the smallest, and maybe you start small. Start to say, I'm not going to take this phone call at this point in time. I'll call them back. If they call you 30 times in a row, right? If they call you 30 times in a row, maybe it's something wrong. So maybe you need to take the phone call right in there. But if they call you and they don't leave a message, they don't leave a text, right? I'm gonna call them back when I'm in a bed, when the timing is there, and do that, right? Like, and do that, and take your 5 minutes. I have a thing for Sundays. Sundays are, for most part, for me, is like for family or whatever. So you may have called me throughout the week. You didn't leave a message. You didn't say I needed a certain time. So I said, you know what? Sunday is a good time for me to check in. These are these are the days I'm gonna, even if it's 5 to 10 minutes, I'm gonna give you your time. And maybe we'll be on the phone for 5 minutes. Maybe we'll be on there for an hour and a half. I'm not gonna rush you. We're gonna have that conversation. And it's worked out for me. It was a beautiful thing, as opposed to in the middle of the day, taking this phone call, going down this path, and maybe I'm thinking about it for the rest of the day and I didn't get what I needed to get done. Right. So it's just find these little things that you can start to do. Think about the different practices. Think about them. Think about reaching out to someone who can help you along the way. It starts somewhere. Transcendental meditation, it wasn't an overnight success for me. Right. It wasn't an overnight thing where I just woke up and it was like 6 to 8 months down the line. I can never forget it. I was walking, and I was staunch discipline. I was working at the city at the time. I used to do it in the morning when I woke up, and then on my lunch break, I used to go into the janitor's closet and do my 20 minutes, right? And I had it set, like it was just that. And I did that for weeks. Anybody at the city knows, like, where did Mike disappear to? I was in the janitor's closet because I knew nobody would say anything, wouldn't bother me. And I can never forget, one day I was just walking in the sunshine, and I said, oh, that's what happened.
Now I get it.
Yeah, it wasn't nothing crazy. Like, you might see in the movies, like someone just starts to levitate towards heaven or nothing. It was just like something happened, and my response wasn't action. It was just like nothing. And then there was a response. And I was like, oh, okay, there it is. Who knows how long it had been going on, but that's when I became aware of it through the practice. Right. And then after a while, it just got to the point where people knew when I wasn't doing it for like a week or two. They would remind me, it was like, hey, when was the last time you meditated? And I was like, I don't know. I'm gonna go do it now.
See you. Hey, bro, don't worry. I got this out here. You get in the closet. Don't worry. I put a couch in there for you.
That might have been better. If they was my real helpmeets, they would have said, listen, don't come out. Stay in there. Whatever happened,
I'm gonna lock this door. You're gonna have to tap 3 times if it's good.
Don't type a minute less than 20. I'm gonna say right now, right? But those are the things. All right. Next week, guys. Culmination of it. We done been through 9. This is the 10th one. Build what outlives you.
Ooh, legacy.
Build what outlives you. So we're gonna jump into that, and that's that, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate the brother for taking the time out, waking up early in the morning, and and joining. And man, this was a fruitful conversation, man.
Yeah, man. That
Love
was
you
good.
all. Love you all. We will see you next week, God willing, and the
Next
creek
week.
don't rise.
That's it.